Hello and welcome to the real world. My name is Cameron. Thank you so much for joining us here on this very special episode. Today we're talking all about Wes Anderson movies. Asteroid City is now in theaters, so we wanted to cover this director's filmography. So we're going to be reviewing all of his movies and ranking all of his movies. Should be a lot of fun. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, hit the bell so you get notified of all our videos here at The Real World. If you're a movie fan, you're in the right place. We are all about movies here, so be sure to like and subscribe. We appreciate it very much. Now, I'm going to introduce our very special guest joining the podcast again. It's been a while, but he is back. It is Luke. How you doing, man?
Hey Cam, thanks for having me on, dude.
Absolutely. Glad to have you back. We're excited to talk Wes Anderson. I know you're a big fan, so this should be a lot of fun. Let's kick things off, though, first with some movie news. All right, kicking things off with movie news, as we usually do here on the podcast. Just a couple of things that dropped this week I wanted to cover. The first is Paddington 3. Luke, are you a fan of Paddington?
I love Paddington. I know
They're
they're making another one.
they're great. Yeah, they're making a third one. It's officially announced. They announced the
Serious.
cast this week. So joining the cast is Rachel Zegler. She's an up-and-coming actress. She was in the new Shazam movie. She was in West Side Story, the remake of West Side Story they did a couple years back. So she's going to star in it alongside Olivia Colman, who's a very popular British actress, and Antonio Banderas. So pretty good cast, and it's going to start shooting next month, July 24th is the start date for the production. The title is not Paddington 3, it is Paddington in Peru. So he's going back to Peru, back to his stomping grounds,
His
which should be
roots.
interesting to see. So yeah, I'm curious about it. I'm a big fan of the Paddington movies as well, so I'm really interested to see what they
Absolutely.
do. All right, just a couple more things. M. Night Shyamalan has announced his next film, another kind of horror thriller that he's kind of known for. It's called Trap, and this is right up your alley too, Luke, because you're a music guy. This is going to be a
Huh?
horror thriller film set at a concert.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So yeah, I've never really, I don't think I've seen a movie like that. So that should be an interesting kind of
Mm-mm.
setting for a kind of horror
Yeah,
movie.
that's something I always notice. Like M Night does. I mean, not always, but like it's very often, and especially recently. Like his horror movies aren't always like amazing, at least to me, but like they're always like a unique setting. That like the setting
Yes,
and the circumstances are always just very interesting.
very true, very true. Yeah, it should be really interesting to see what he does with that. It's already started shooting and it's supposed to be released in August of 2024. So next summer we'll get
Oh,
that one.
okay.
So yeah, interested to see what he does there. All right, next thing up on the agenda here is the box office. I just wanted to give us a quick breakdown. The Flash is continuing to disappoint at the box office. It is dropping 75% this week, which is a huge
Wow.
drop off, especially for a big comic book movie with such a big budget. It's just not drawing people in. I think a lot of this has to do with the whole shakeup at DC with James Gunn taking over and them kind of rebooting their whole universe and doing this whole timeline, time travel, weird multiverse thing. I think people just aren't interested, honestly. I think especially word of mouth on this one isn't very good. If it had been like, people were saying, you've got to go see this one, it's, really good. Tons of superhero movies coming out. And I think just people are kind of disinterested, especially if it's not getting great reviews. So that's, I kind
Yeah.
of think what's going on there.
I think also part of it could be like just Ezra Miller and the like
Great point.
controversy that surrounds them, it's like I mean main character, it's like
Right.
it's a little rough.
Exactly. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, it's definitely not the best situation that you want to have your movie in, the kind of
Right.
controversy. You never want that. So yeah, this probably has a lot to do with it as well. We'll have to see what ends up becoming of Blue Beetle, which is the next DC movie. It's already set to come out in August, so just a couple months away. I don't know if that's going to gain any traction. We'll have to see what the reviews are like on that and see kind of how that does at the box office. That one has a much lower budget though, so we'll have to just
Hmm.
just wait and see. A couple more things before we leave movie news. A couple movies celebrating anniversaries this week. I wanted to mention two movies that I enjoy. One is a Pixar film, which was released this week 10 years ago. So celebrating its 10th anniversary, Monsters University. This one, I actually enjoy it. I don't think it's nearly as good as the
It's not
original
bad.
Monsters Inc., but it's not a bad movie,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's pretty fun.
No, not at all.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool
I
origin
liked
story
it.
for Mike and Sully. So yeah, that turned 10 this week. And then turning 60, so a much older film. It is one of my favorite World War II movies based on a true story. It is The Great Escape. This one
Hmm.
is really, really good. It's got Steve McQueen. Really, really solid film. It's pretty epic. It's almost 3 hours long, but it's about prisoners of war who plan an escape from a prisoner camp, Nazi prison camp. So it's a really, really well-made movie. Highly recommended if you haven't checked it out. It's definitely worth watching.
Very interesting.
Well, that's it for movie news. So it is time to jump in to Wes Anderson's filmography. So let's kick it off. All right, folks. Well, the time is here to talk all things Wes Anderson. This is a filmmaker that is just so unique and so specific, I feel like, in his style and his sensibilities. He really sets himself apart by doing several things, which I'll talk about in a moment. He's a 54-year-old filmmaker. He's been making movies since the mid 90s, and he actually was born in Houston, Texas. He, just grew up loving movies, making movies with his friends. He's close friends with Owen Wilson and his brother Luke Wilson, which is why they show up in all of his films. They kind of grew up just having fun making movies together. His name is Wesley Wales Anderson. That's his full name. He attended University of Texas at Austin, and his career just kind of took off rather quickly. He made a short film, then got a big enough budget to make a feature-length film, and his career just kind of grew and grew from there. He's one of those filmmakers that you can really see the growth, I think, film to film, in a lot
Totally.
of different ways. So just a really interesting guy. His style is so specific. He's known for a lot of very specific things like adults acting like children and children acting like adults. He kind of does that. He kind
Hmm.
of reverses that in a fun way. A lot of his films do focus on younger characters, more youthful characters. He's got very unique production design, very specific costuming. His sets very much represent the characters in the story in a really fun way. He really puts viewers, I feel like, inside kind of like a storybook in a way. He really
Yeah.
is a lot about, narrative and kind of framing the narrative in a unique way. He uses narration a lot. Um, just does a lot of interesting things that kind of makes you aware of the fact that you're watching a story unfold in a way that a lot of filmmakers kind of make you try to feel like you're in the story or like it's super realistic. He doesn't really do that. He kind of uses the language of film to kind of tell grounded stories. None of his are necessarily super fantastical, but just the way he presents it is kind of fantastical. So just
Hmm.
again, very unique and interesting. The locations are very rich with history and mood and tone. He makes very specific color choices, a lot of pastels. The shading of his films, it really reflects kind of his own kind of charming vintage sensibilities in many ways. I feel like, which is really unique. Cinematography is very specific and precise. Camera movements. He's known for his very symmetrical framing, kind of how I'm framed here in like a box, with my shelves behind me. It's that kind of stuff that again sets him apart. Camera movement, composition, blocking, it kind of all works together in this intricate ballet that seems simple in a way, but is really very intricate and detailed. He avoids very aggressive editing. His transitions are very smooth. Um, he has a lot of long takes and very theatrical kind of setups and blocking with his actors. He doesn't really over stylize anything. Especially sound design is very grounded, but he sparingly will use certain sounds and effects to make a statement in a big way. Um, His music choices, which I'm sure we'll talk about, is,
Oh,
he's so interesting because he has score, original score that go along with his movies, like most movies have, but then he'll use these, pop songs and other kind of, music to really reinforce the emotion of scenes in a unique way that really make them stand out. So yeah, just very different kind of filmmaker. I wasn't really hyper aware of him until just a few years ago, really. I think the first film of his that I really sat down and watched was Fantastic Mr. Fox, but that was years
yeah, same
after it
here.
was even released. So um, I don't know. I don't know exactly the date that I started watching his movies, but I think it was maybe after he came out with Isle of Dogs that I really started to get into, okay, who is this guy? What are his movies? And just kind of went through each one.
Mhm.
So we'll talk about that as we go through the movies. But what is your experience kind of with Wes and his films?
Yeah, I kind of started off the same way. I watched Fantastic Mr. Fox
Okay.
initially, starting out, and then like from I think from a very young age, I like that's been a movie in my life. But then it's like I was like, oh, he made like a bunch of other movies. I thought it was just, but it's just yeah, I don't know. I really like what I just his style is very different and very almost like a philosophical statement, his style and just in how it relates to because I mean most people, it's like, okay, I'm gonna, explore an idea like, or just a or something, while the character's talking about it or through action sequences. But it's like it's very rare. It happens, but it's very rare for especially such a like prolific, not prolific, but just like popular director to like use style in that sort of way. And I don't, it's not necessarily something you really see. I mean, even in some like good filmmakers that are like, I mean, like, or just, critically acclaimed filmmakers, that
Right.
like, Christopher Nolan or
Mm,
whatever, it's like
mhm.
that are in the mainstream in the zeitgeist. And
Yeah.
I think it's really special. And he's one of the best to do it, I think. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, I really love his style. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely feel it feels like reading a book. It feels very
Right.
awesome, awesome, great movies.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Great. Well, let's jump right in. Let's just jump in. We're going to go chronologically from his first film all the way to his most recent. So he started off with Bottle Rocket. That was his first debut film, his feature film debut, February 21st, 1996. This was released, has a runtime of 91 minutes. Two of his most frequent collaborators started off on his very first movie, Bob Yeoman, who is his cinematographer. He's worked with on, I think, all of his movies, if not all, but maybe one or two. He's a great cinematographer. He's shot a lot of cool movies that I like. One that my wife and I both enjoy that he did outside of Wes Anderson is Mamma Mia 2, which
Oh,
I still
really?
claim is better than the original. My wife disagrees with me, but that's actually a really well made movie. And then he also shot one that I know you're also a fan of, Love and Mercy. He shot that as well.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
Interesting.
really, really good director of photography, really great style, really great, camera work. And then the other guy is his composer, a guy by the name of Mark Mothersbaugh, who does a fantastic job with all the music in his movies. He's done music for other films like the Russo brothers' first film, Welcome to Collinwood, before they became the big Avengers guys. He did the music
Mhm.
on their first film, and Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, and the Lego Movie. He also did the music for those,
Yeah.
as well as all you Marvel fans will know this one, Thor Ragnarok. He did all the music for that too. So he's pretty prolific as well, done a lot of different things, but a very frequent collaborator of Mr. Anderson. So again, this is his first movie. It's his debut. He's also the co-writer on it with Owen Wilson, who again, they grew up together, good friends, and so Owen Wilson stars in this alongside his brother Luke Wilson. And I've been a fan of both Owen and Luke's for a while. I think they're really funny guys, really good actors. I didn't really know that they had ever played like lead characters together. And so this was a joy. I had just seen this week. This is the first time I've watched this
Yeah, yeah.
movie.
Mhm.
And I always wanted those two guys to work together, brothers, and they're both actors. And I'd never really seen them play on screen a lot together. And you get that in this movie, which was a joy for me to watch. It was really fun. It's kind of a heist comedy, right? They're like kind of wannabe criminals,
Yeah.
and it's just super funny. But it's not like over the top crazy funny stuff. It's just like the way they interact and the dialogue and the way it's all cut together. It just really worked for me. I had a blast watching this movie. Really fun to see a young director, and his style's there. It's just not like fully formed yet in a way, you know?
Hmm.
So I really had a blast with this. What do you think of Bottle Rocket?
It's been a while since I've seen it.
Okay.
But I really remember really enjoying it. But I think there's something really beautiful about like just in any artist in any art form, like their first project, their first thing, it has like a certain feeling to it, a certain air
Right.
to it that like they never really replicate. Usually
Yeah,
because they end up
true.
making better stuff, but like
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
still just like a sort of like immaturity to it.
Hmm.
That's really beautiful, and that this just sort of exploring ideas. But I also feel like I kind of agree with you that a lot of the elements of, even they're not really like on the surface of elements of like his movies, but
Hmm.
they're not really on the surface, but like they're definitely there. A lot of the elements of his style and his yeah. I thought it was really good. Probably the most like normal movie of his. And it's
Yes.
not my favorite, but I really like it.
Yeah, I was going to mention that too. It feels more mainstream, I guess, or whatever you want to call it, like a typical
Yeah.
movie you would watch. Whereas
Hmm.
style, it's there, but it's again, it's not like fully formed. It's not fully at the forefront of the movie in the way that some of
Hmm.
his other ones are. But yeah, I really get a kick out of it. It's really raw, I feel like, in a way. Like you said, it's like
Yeah.
it's a
Hmm.
young filmmaker just kind of like getting his feet wet and just starting out, and but it's really well made. I mean, he's telling the story visually as you're supposed to do with cinema, and it's really fun. So, all right, moving on to the next Wes Anderson film he created. It was Rushmore. Rushmore was released December 11th, 1998, has a runtime of 93 minutes. So this one, it kind of takes a step forward, I feel like, here in a way where we're getting more of his style. He used to write plays in high school. So this is kind of almost autobiographical in certain respects, not fully, but it's very much Wes Anderson and kind of his experience in high school in certain ways. So Jason Schwartzman does a great job. He's another frequent collaborator of Wes's. So he does a great job here. Really like the performance of Bill Murray. The entire cast is just really, really solid. More of the, I think, quirks of Wes Anderson come through. The kind of the way he uses dialogue, kind of awkward character interactions. All these things
Hmm.
that he's become known for really start to come to the forefront here a lot more. It's a kind of coming of age comedy, which is another kind of type of or genre that he's kind of known for in a way. It feels
Hmm.
very relatable. This movie feels very grounded. I really
Yeah.
enjoy it. It's one that I get a kick out of. I've only seen it once, but I definitely want to watch it again because I do remember having a lot of fun watching it. Particularly Jason Schwartzman and just
Yeah.
his performance here. I feel like is so I couldn't see anyone else playing that role, in a way. It's one of those kind of actor character marriages that is really, really solid. So I have a lot of fun with this one. What do you think of Rushmore?
I think it's like one of the best movies ever. I love it so
Oh,
much.
really?
It's
Awesome.
fantastic. It's like it's just yeah. I think Wes. I'm pretty sure he said like this is the movie that he like would have wanted his younger self to have seen. It was kind of a sort
Right.
of like a if he could have talked to him, his 15-year-old self. And so
Right.
I think
Right.
that's really great, and it's very quintessential. Of course, coming of age story has been done 100,000 times, but
Hmm.
I think it's very quintessential in the genre, and um just really complicated human relationships,
Yeah.
and how it just all comes together. You get kind of the first, you also get sort of the first pieces of that storybook style with the curtains, telling different
Exactly.
months of the year.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, it took me a while to kind of get into his more extravagant
Mm.
stylings that he would get into later on. But before I was able to, this was definitely like I probably my favorite movie ever. It's super good. Loved it.
Awesome. Great. Great stuff. All right. Well, let's move on to the film he followed that up with. This one is really the one that put him on the map. This one was like the one that
Hmm.
garnered a ton of like critical acclaim and all kinds of stuff. This is The Royal Tenenbaums. This one was released December 14th, 2001. Runtime of 109 minutes. This is the first one where it's really a big ensemble cast, which he really became known for,
Yeah.
gathering a bunch of like big actors, actors at this point really wanted to work with him. So he could pretty much get anyone he wanted. I mean, he gets Gene Hackman in here, like big time actors. Really, really fun cast. It's, you know, in some ways a coming of age. It's really more of a family drama, though, is what I consider this
Yeah.
one. It's really kind of about this very dysfunctional family, very, kind of uh, awkward storytelling, but done intentionally, right? I mean, it's very kind of all the character interactions are super just strained relationships and, you know, just awkward stuff going on in this family. That's just, again,
Yeah.
but the thing about it is, again, it feels real. It doesn't feel like some just like silly comedy, like they're just trying to be dumb and silly about it. It's like there's a real grounding here, real emotion that's going through this movie.
Yeah. Mhm.
It's for me, it's in some ways the hardest to watch because of that, because they're dealing with
It's
some
very
pretty heavy
difficult.
stuff. Yeah, so to me, it's not quite as engaging or endearing as some of his other films because the characters are very flawed, right? Which a lot
Mhm.
of his characters are, but I feel like here it's kind of almost taken to another level. And I feel like that's why it garnered so much praise because he was, again, still such a young filmmaker dealing with a lot of heavy themes and ideas, and just really all comes together in a very, very impactful way. I just don't find it as rewatchable. It's not like when I'm
Hmm.
I'm like, oh, I can't wait to watch that one again. It's like because again, they're dealing with a lot of like kind of heavier themes, more drama here. But it still has his humor and his quirks. It's just a little darker. Maybe it's more of a dark comedy in some ways. So those are kind of my
Yeah.
initial thoughts on Royal Tenenbaums. What do you think of this one?
Yeah, I think I totally agree. It's very maybe possibly his heaviest movie as far as themes go. Not always, but I mean, it's kind of underlying the whole thing, and sometimes those heavier moments, can kind of, I don't know. It's a lot of times his the darkness in his movies is kind of has a sort of layer of like, humor behind it. And in this movie it has that too, but there are also moments where that's kind of stripped away, which is
Yeah,
rare, I
right.
guess, for his movies. There's not the humor behind it or
Hmm.
the whimsy or anything.
Yeah,
It's
right,
very
right.
um yeah. And so yeah, also another comment is just on the needle drops in this movie are incredible. Like I remember for whenever I was like 13, the first movie to kind of define my music taste was Guardians of the Galaxy. But I really
Yeah.
wish it was this one instead because I really like the soundtrack and it's absolutely incredible. So
Yeah, yeah, good stuff for
first
sure.
for I mean first time it's really I mean Rushmore had really good needle drops too, but
Yeah,
I really like the ones in this.
right, right. Awesome. Let's jump into his next movie, which is The Life Aquatic. So this one was released December 25th, Christmas Day, 2004, has a runtime of 118 minutes, making it his longest film. This is just so much fun. I get a kick out of this one. I just love the way he uses all kinds of different techniques for his effects. He doesn't just use CGI. He's not like a green screen guy. He'll use miniatures. He'll use like all kinds of old school techniques. Like front projection, all
Hmm.
kinds of stuff to bring these characters and these worlds to life. So Bill Murray is just a delight in this film. I get such a kick out of his
Yeah.
character. He's so much fun to watch. He's always been one of my favorite actors, and here he's just at the top of his game. I think he's really good in this. The whole cast is great. I love the mockumentary style. It's just, it's another
Hmm.
layer to that, what we're talking about, like how he does storytelling. It's like you're watching a movie, but you're watching a movie being made also at the same time. So it's
Yeah, a
just
movie
got
in a
that
movie.
layer. Yeah, yeah, it's got that layer to it, which is really fun. This movie just has great visuals. I'm a big fan of any kind of naval or underwater high seas adventure, and
Hmm.
this is kind of Wes Anderson's version of that. Wes Anderson's Pirates of the Caribbean, if you will. So it's just kind of a fun movie. that I really enjoy watching. I really want to watch it again. I haven't watched it in a while. But again, dealing with some heavy themes, but I feel like this one has a little bit more of that whimsy that you were talking about, to it, behind it,
Yeah.
a little more of the humor. And so, yeah, I get a big kick out of this. And what are your thoughts on Life Aquatic?
Yeah, it's great. I love what it's really expanding on at this point in his like filmmaking what in his
Yeah,
career, I guess.
yeah, yeah,
It's like it's very much kind of expanding on like this just I don't know. I just love the effects on it. And it's
yeah, like
just
the visual
it really
style.
adds to
Yeah,
that sort of just
right.
and I like how you mentioned like it's not trying to deceive you, the effects on this, which is like super interesting and super like it's
Yes,
not trying it's like yeah, these are obviously effects. This is not
right.
real, and you know that
Yes.
and it's just such a yeah, I think that's really neat. And I love the like like Brazilian folk David Bowie songs that has a record. There's like a record that came out with it that's really good of the
Oh,
I forget
cool.
the it's like Sue Jorge or something. I forget his
Okay.
I forget his name, but
Oh,
he's very
yeah, yeah,
really good
yeah, yeah.
artist.
I know what you're talking about. Yes, yes, yeah. That was a
Yeah.
great, great cover.
It's just honestly it's incredible. Great movie.
Yeah, awesome. Let's jump into the next one, the Darjeeling Limited, released October 26, 2007, runtime of 91 minutes. So this one's interesting because he kind of goes away from the ensemble movies that he had been doing past couple films
Hmm.
and really just focuses in on three characters. And they're all just really, really good. They have such great chemistry. Adrian Brody here is so good. Owen Wilson, of course, and Jason Schwartzman, they just really, really play off each other so well. They totally feel like brothers. They totally feel like guys that have known each other their whole lives. I don't know if they had known each other for very long. I don't think they had. But man, they just really, really, those three lead performances are just so good. And the whole movie kind of hinges on that. So if that doesn't work, the movie doesn't work.
Hmm.
I get a big kick out of this. We get another unique location with India and this train. We're on the train for most of the movie. It is a real train that they
Yeah.
shot on too.
Oh.
And so it's really, really interesting. It's, the way they had to shoot this. Um, just a really great looking movie. Another one that deals, again, it just has that great balance of drama and comedy. Like all that stuff. There's such heavy moments here, yet absolute silliness and kind of just hilarity
Hmm.
ensuing every moment too. So again, it has that balance that I think is really, really good. It's family centric. A lot of his films are very family oriented, and this one
Yeah.
is definitely
That's what
no
he does best in my
exception.
opinion.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So I have a lot of fun with this as someone with brothers, I can relate to it in many ways. So it's a lot of fun. I definitely get a big kick out of it. What do you think of Darjeeling Limited?
Yeah, well, this is the one that and I haven't seen Isle of Dogs, so you're gonna be alone in your in commentary with
Okay.
that. But
Okay.
it's the one. I rented this from the library this week,
Oh,
and I
cool.
just watched it for the first time, and I was very excited because I'm trying to make an album about trains, like a record album,
Oh, cool.
and so I was very excited about. And I have a train next to me. I'm very in love with trains, so I was very
Yeah, yeah.
excited for this one. But it also like I was really bummed out because like it kind of ended up being like probably my least favorite
Oh, okay.
Wes Anderson.
Okay.
Um, just but but by no means bad. It was
Right.
absolutely I loved the dynamic. I didn't even think about how like this is his first time since like Rushmore that he had in almost 10 years. I think it was 10
Right.
years if it was 2007.
Yeah.
Like he had a smaller cast and
Yeah. Yeah.
um I really love it. I love the the setting is really interesting.
Hmm.
I guess it would be his first time doing one that's not entirely based, I guess, in America. Well, besides Steve Zissou,
Right.
I guess that's not.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah. But it's really good movie though. I liked it.
Cool. Cool. Excellent. Alrighty, moving on to the next Wes Anderson movie. It is fantastic, Mr. Fox. This one released November 13th, 2009, runtime of 87 minutes. It's, of course, based on a Roald Dahl book, and it is Wes's first stop motion animated film. Really, really cool that he got into stop motion. I'm not sure what made him decide to do this. I'm sure he was a fan of some stop motion animation in the past or something, but really happy he did because we need more great animation. And this one, it's, as we both mentioned, it's kind of the one that turned us on to Wes in the first place. So really holds a special place in my heart. It really, is another one of these family-oriented films that I can watch with my kids, which is fun. We can all watch it as a family. And so he just does a great job here. He's again a very detail oriented filmmaker. Every element of the filmmaking process is important to him, and you can tell. And that's even more apparent in something like a stop motion animated film where you're literally moving every character every inch, that they're having to be moved, and the details of the sets and the costumes and all of it's there. So I really like this. It has a very naturalistic color palette, yet it has those kind of fantastical elements too, very bright colors, vibrant. But it just since we're dealing with animals here, I feel like it all very much feels natural. Feels like it blends into the environment of the trees and the grass and all that stuff. So just really like the way it looks. More great music here, another great score that's really, really well done. I was watching some behind the scenes because I have the Blu-ray of this one. And I was watching the behind the scenes, and he got all the cast together and they went out to this farm out in the middle of nowhere, and they recorded the sound at this farm of the actors acting out the scenes.
That's
So
incredible.
yeah. So it wasn't all done like in a recording studio, like in a sound booth, or something. A lot of it was done at this farm, which is really cool. And you can tell just the performances are so natural. They feel so real. They feel like they're in it. And, so it paid off, obviously. Another big ensemble
Mhm.
cast: George Clooney, Bill Murray back, Jason Schwartzman again, Owen Wilson, Meryl Streep, of course, joins the cast this time. And they all just do a fantastic job. All the performances, I feel like, again, they just feel like they're real characters. They just feel real, which is what you want from any movie. So definitely a big fan of this. I've watched it more than any of his other films. It's just really good. It's really special because it's about how family makes you special, how you are special, but your family, as difficult as they may be, is big part of what makes you so special. So just really like the messaging, really like the kind of just funny dialogue. A lot of the a lot of the quotes are just so funny. So yeah, I get a lot out of this movie. I really enjoy it. What do you think of Fantastic Mr. Fox?
I think it's absolutely incredible. It's very dear to my heart. It's his most accessible movie, but I also think it's one of his most ambitious.
Oh
Just
yeah.
in like it's just such a after the Darjeeling Limited, that's just and going from that to this, it's just
Yeah,
absolutely, you know, um mind blowing. It's such a huge left turn.
right.
And just doing a children's movie, it's just but it's it's not like a children's movie in the traditional sense where it's like, an illumination or like a just, for a, it's very, like complex themes and very,
Yeah.
like all of his other films. And so
Yep.
it's yeah, and like you said, brilliant writing.
Yeah.
It's I guess with his movies, it's kind of hard to touch on the themes because it's always because like I like that the different thing from this
Right.
one. It's like it's kind of the same. It's very similar themes, and I
Yeah.
think throughout all of his movies of just
Hmm.
like being an outsider, being different or whatever,
Yep.
and but kind of just sort of. But also just presented in a different style almost every single
Hmm.
time, which isn't
Right.
isn't isn't a critique. I wouldn't critique that, and
Sure.
not that even it can vary, but I
Yeah.
think that's like a very prominent thing, and I think throughout this movie it's especially apparent.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, that is what's cool about, the two stop motion movies he's made. We'll talk about the second one in a second, but they do very much feel like you can watch it as a family, but it's like it's still him. It's still Wes. It still feels like him.
Mhm.
It doesn't feel like he's trying to like, talk down to the audience or pander to kids or, do
Yeah.
do that kind of stuff. It's very much he's making the movie he wants to make. And so yeah, a big fan of that one. That's of course the first film that's not based on an original screenplay as well from him, which is interesting. So let's move on to his film that followed that, going back to live action filmmaking, with Moonrise Kingdom. This one released May 25th, 2012, runtime of 94 minutes. He goes back to a big ensemble cast here, kind of harkening back to those coming of age films. This one much more romantic film. It's about young love, and it's again another unique setting set on this island with all these scouts, and it's just such a unique movie. Still employs all his techniques of just unique framing, these shots that just stand out in your mind. It's also framed by narration. Bob Babylon comes on screen and talks to the audience directly and tells you what's going on here, where we are
Yeah.
and what's happening. So, it has all those kind of elements that make a Wes Anderson movie. But again, it feels unique. It feels like nothing he's ever really done before. And so, yeah, he just continues to innovate and continues to be creative with his storytelling, but yet be unabashedly him. So I really like that about him. I like that about this movie. Great visual storytelling, excellent cast. Edward Norton, he's one of my favorite actors. He does a great job here. Bruce Willis, he's
Yeah.
working with for the first time. Bruce Willis just gives such a unique performance for him. I mean, looking at everything he's done in his career from Die Hard, to this, I mean, it's like night and day. So, but just does a great job and proves that he's a great actor. I like actors like that really challenge themselves with roles. And so, yeah, it's definitely a standout for the cast, and just a really, really heartwarming film. Really one that I enjoy thoroughly, and definitely want to watch again soon. So, what do you think of Moonrise Kingdom?
Absolutely love this movie. It's so much to say about it, and it's like I feel like it's a great one to watch if you're just kind of like getting into his films besides like the Royal Tenenbaums and the Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Yeah.
It's his first rom-com, and it's I think yeah, and so
Yeah, I agree.
it's very it's an adventure movie, and because like you mentioned at the beginning, like his theme of like children acting like adults and adults acting like children, and this is like but this is his first movie like centered on on kids, and
Right.
it's like and around like and just how they like and it's just and it's just like the juxtaposition that really like it's been a theme in his movies, but it's never been like the center of it. And so I think
Yes.
it's absolutely beautiful, and there's a lot of like truth in it, I think. And as well, it's not just like a funny trope, I think there's a lot of thought behind it. I kind of wonder at this point, for Bill Murray and Wes Anderson, if there was some sort of like ill will between those two, because like at this point, I think Wes has like cast him in every single movie as just this deadbeat old guy, so like I'm not sure
Right.
if there's any sort of like
I think
anything going on.
I think Murray
It's
just loves playing that type of character.
Yeah, yeah, you're probably right. But I think it's funny. I think it's
Yeah,
funny
it
every
is.
single like Wes Anderson movie.
Right.
It's pretty great. But yeah, awesome movie.
Yeah, yeah, excellent. All right,
Oh,
let's move
and
on. Oh, go ahead.
sorry, I just want to mention this is also like my favorite one of his as far as like the needle drops go, because it's
Oh,
not it's like it's his first one without like, because like usually it's like old pop songs and like and
right.
that sort of thing, and like indie pop songs, but it's like it's very very much more like, which I mean, it's Fantastic Mr. Fox has it some too, but it's just I really love just like there's like the child like the children's like choir song,
Oh, yeah.
and just like and like like the Hank Williams song, and it's just
Right.
like it's just brilliant like soundtrack.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's all.
Yeah. No, good stuff. Good stuff. Let's move on now to another film of his that I own. It is The Grand Budapest Hotel. This one released March 7th, 2014, runtime of 100 minutes. I've got the Criterion edition here. I'm going to do a review on the channel of this soon. This is such a fun movie. It is so unique. Again, it's like every movie, how does he find these like just fun, different ideas? I don't know how he does it, but just an astonishing achievement on every level, really, of filmmaking here. I mean, from the cinematography, where we're doing that typical Wes Anderson thing. You've got the symmetry going on, you've got the kind of dolly tracking shots, you've got the long takes, but we're shifting aspect ratios depending on what time era we're in, which I thought was a really smart idea. Costuming, production design is so, so good here. Again, use of color is like, I feel like here more than ever, like he really leaned into the use of color. Um, it's another big ensemble cast, a kind of epic story in a way. I mean, it's a really big story that we're dealing with, a lot of characters. I would say this is his most political film, just because we're dealing with history
Mm.
in very real ways that he hasn't really done before. So I just find this again another unique aspect of his filmography that feels very West, but it feels very different. He's got that going on here again, and so this one I watched again this week because it's one of my favorites, and I just had to put it on again. Put it on with the commentary, so I got to hear him talk, along
Mm.
with I think Jeff Goldblum was on it, and a couple other guys. I can't remember if it was a production designer or what, but a couple of the other filmmakers were on there with him, and it was really fascinating to listen to them talk about what was going on set that day and that kind of thing. Is always fun. I like commentaries for that reason. It gives me a greater appreciation for the film. So yeah, I really enjoy this movie. Again, just every aspect of the production is top notch. So yeah, really, really get a kick out of it. What do you think of Grand Budapest?
Yeah, it's one of those just like it's hard to come up with words for it.
Yeah.
Just for the technical achievement
Hmm.
alone of just the way that like the main storyteller in this movie is the style.
Yeah.
Is the style and people like and that's like I guess a common critique is like the style over substance, but
Mm,
is what Wes can kind of get lost in his style,
hmm.
and I don't always necessarily disagree, but I really think it's in this movie it is it's the main storyteller, unlike his others, the
Right.
style, which is always prevalent. It's just completely just in the color and the like you said in the it's like a onion of like layers of like who's telling the story
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's just like you watch it and you're just like, where has this been done before? It's just such an accumulation of influences.
Right.
It feels like it's like every single movie you've ever seen thrown into a blender.
Right.
Or like just like classics and everything. It's just
Yeah.
great casting and but great,
Hmm.
but still has all the everything else. Great writing and still it's a behemoth. Of a
Yeah, it
movie.
is.
Absolutely.
It is for sure. It's a big movie. I was surprised to find out it was only 100 minutes because it seems like there's so much
Yeah,
going
it
on
feels it
here.
feels long.
Yeah, yeah, it feels just like it just feels bigger than that. But
Mhm.
he does it very well, very concisely, keeps it focused. It doesn't ever get lost, I don't ever get lost in the story of what's going on. I always know what's
Yeah.
happening and why. Which is great when you can do that with that many characters and that much stuff going on. Willem Dafoe here is great. Of course,
Oh
the
yeah.
younger
Mhm.
actors, Tony Revolori and Saoirse Ronan are fantastic as well. Jude Law's in here. I mean, it's just list goes on and on. Tilda Swinton, so many great actors, all delivering great. I mean, just really good character work here. I feel like every single character is very unique. And Ray Fiennes, it's probably my favorite role he's ever played. He's played so many great ones, but
Mhm.
that one I
Mhm.
feel like is very very specific. So yeah, I'm a big fan of that one as well. Let's jump into the next film, which is another one I own, Isle of Dogs. This one released March 23rd, 2018, 101 minutes long, and it's his second stop motion animated film. And it's another unique genre because this is really a sci-fi movie, which
Mhm.
is another thing that he hadn't done at this point. It doesn't feel like heavy sci-fi or anything, but it does take place in the future. It was really fun to see him kind of delve into that. It's again, talking about changing up the genre, it's really like a boy and his dog story, Old Yeller or any of these classic kind of stories like that. But again, done in Wes's very unique style. So another good mix of humor and drama here that I think works really well. This one can get pretty intense. It can get pretty dramatic at times, surprisingly so,
Hmm.
more so than Fantastic Mr. Fox, I feel like. And so, really, really well done. I really think again with stop motion, you're dealing with such meticulous detail on every element of the film. So, really well done. Another A-list cast. He brings back so many great actors in this one. He brings on Scarlett Johansson as well, who I don't think he had worked with before. But yeah, just tons of fun. Bryan Cranston's in there. Liev Schreiber, who I really like as well. Ken Watanabe, Frances McDormand, Greta Gerwig's in there too. So just another huge ensemble of fantastic actors he's working with. All deliver again, even though they're playing dogs, it's like they feel like real characters that you care about and relate to and understand what they're going through, which is all you can ask for in any movie. And when you can do it with animation, it's just that much more impressive. So, yeah, another film that I really enjoy. What do you think of Isle of Dogs?
It's probably a good movie.
Oh, that's right.
Like I
This is
said,
one
I
you haven't
haven't
seen.
seen it.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I guess I'll leave the stage to you for this one.
yeah.
But yeah,
I'll
this is the one I haven't seen. I definitely want to get around to it though.
I'll bring it to church tomorrow so you can borrow it.
Okay, word. All
Check
right,
it out.
okay, cool.
Yeah, let me know what you think. Let's move on to his next film, which is The French Dispatch. So, The French Dispatch, released October 22nd, 2021, runtime of 108 minutes. This one I enjoy. I don't feel like it's my favorite. And here's why. I think it's
Hmm.
interesting. I really like that he tried to do an anthology film, right? So it's a movie where there's like a lot of different little stories in this big movie. It feels segmented. To me, it never felt like a cohesive whole. And maybe I
Hmm.
need to rewatch it. This is one I've only seen once, so I could be way off. You may have totally different thoughts than me, but that's kind of how I remember it. Another big ensemble cast. I didn't love the characters like I usually do with his movies. I didn't like really feel drawn in a way
Hmm.
that I wanted to. But look, it's Wes, so it has stellar production design, incredible locations they go to here.
Yeah.
He's utilizing a lot of style here, even more so than Grand Budapest, where aspect ratio is changing. We're going from color to black and white. All kind. He has some segments of the film that are just animated as well, like 2D animation.
Yeah.
So he's got all kinds of things going on, and it's all really well done. Again, I just didn't ever feel like it came together in a way that made sense to me. Do you know what I mean? So that's kind of my
Yeah.
feeling on it. I want to give it a rewatch because I do want to see it again. I didn't hate it, but it was just one that I didn't, for
Mhm.
me, it didn't ever feel like it. I didn't ever understand exactly why he was making certain choices of changing up the style and different things like that. So definitely want to give it a rewatch because I didn't hate it. I enjoyed what I was watching. It just didn't ever totally click with me for whatever reason.
Right.
So what do you think of French Dispatch?
I absolutely love it. I think it's
Okay.
a great. It's absolutely great. I actually just rewatched. I watched it initially, like probably a year ago, and then I rewatched it today, in
Okay,
preparation.
cool.
Because I just whenever I initially watched it, I was just a little bit like I don't know. I was a little. I really. I mean, I thought I was like stunned and I was blown away, but like I wasn't drawn in. And so
Yeah.
this today rewatching it, it was it felt very I kind of liked the anthology. It felt like a collection of short stories sort of.
Right.
And that was something that really took the forefront, I think, was the storytelling. I just really
Mm,
enjoyed. It definitely I don't absolutely like disagree with the disjointed feeling of it.
yeah.
Like I definitely think it can feel a little bit like, but I don't know. I really I kind of like the anthology feeling, and that it still has that connection of like these
Mm,
writers are in the stories, and just like it feels just like it feels like you're watching a movie about observers. You're observing a movie about observers, and so
okay.
it's like and I absolutely love the stories. I love art about making art. And
Hmm.
that's kind of what this movie is about. That's some of my favorite types of just like and I think I'd say probably my favorite is the first one, and then my second favorite is the second story, and then and there is the third one. But so
Okay.
it's kind of like as the movie goes on, it does wane a little bit for me, but overall,
Right.
I absolutely loved it. I thought it was
Okay.
great.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. Well, that brings us to Asteroid City, which neither of us have seen, right? You haven't got a chance to see
Well,
it
wait,
yet.
maybe I mean we could probably just pretend we've seen it, and we can just like say like, oh
just
yeah, the
just
style
act
is
like
just the style and the,
that,
the
Wes's styles on full
yeah.
display, those symmetrical
Oh
shots,
yeah.
ensemble cast.
That symmetry was just very symmetrical this time around, you know.
Right. So yeah, so this one released this weekend, June 16th, 2023. Runtime of 105 minutes. I can't wait to see it. I'm really excited to see it. Disappointed I haven't watched it yet, but he's dealing with a lot of returning cast members. For the first time, he's working with Tom Hanks here, which I'm really excited about.
Hmm.
Steve Carell's in there, Jeffrey Wright, Ed Norton's back, Adrian Brody's back, Bryan Cranston, Tilda Swinton, Jeff Goldblum, Willem Dafoe, Jason Schwartzman. So very excited. He's again dealing with sort of a sci-fi, like 50s sci-fi idea. It supposedly is
Yeah.
about a stargazer conference out in the desert. That's all that I've read about. I try not to read too much about movies because I like going in as cold as I can, but that's kind of the basic
Yeah.
idea he's dealing with. I've seen a trailer and the trailer looks good. So
Hmm.
definitely can't wait to watch it. We'll give you guys a review as soon as we see it. But that brings us to our Wes Anderson ranking. Okay. So we're going to rank his movies from our least favorite to our favorite. Now, here's a disclaimer. I like all of his movies. Like I said, I mean, I didn't have very many bad things
Likewise.
to
Yeah.
say about these movies. So none of them are like under 3 stars. I mean, all of them are like at least 3 stars or higher for me. So do you want me to kick us off?
Go ahead, by all
Okay,
means.
cool. I'll start with my number 10, and that is The Royal Tenenbaums. Now, again, like I said, I haven't rewatched this in a while, so I want to rewatch it again. But I have it 3.5 stars,
Wow,
so it's another one
that's
that
crazy.
I still enjoy. I know I still like it, but again, for the reasons I said, the characters just didn't connect or draw me in. They weren't as endearing or likable as a lot of his other characters
Mm,
were. So that's probably why it's the lowest on the list. But
okay.
that's what I had at 10. What do you have at 10?
At 10, like I said, I haven't seen
Oh,
I haven't
right.
seen Grand
So you
or
have
sorry,
nine.
the Isle Dogs. So I
Yeah.
have
So
yeah,
just
my so
yeah,
number
give me your
nine.
nine. Right.
I'll probably say Bottle Rocket. I feel like
Okay.
that's like kind of an obvious choice for the
Sure.
lowest, but it's probably my least favorite,
Okay. Okay.
I'd say.
Gotcha. Gotcha. All right. My number nine is The French Dispatch. For all the reasons I just went through. Just felt a little
Right.
disjointed is really the only major complaint there. So that one also I have at 3.5 stars. But can't wait for a rewatch. Give me your number eight.
Number eight is I would probably say the Darjeeling Limited. I feel like it's like the one time that I kind of his the themes going throughout, it's like I've seen this better like portrayed in other movies. Like and like I
Right.
said, I still love it. I still think it's a great movie, but it's just like
Sure.
I've seen this is like something I've seen done better, just the familial aspect and all that in other
Gotcha.
movies. So that's my number
Gotcha.
eight.
Okay. My eight is Rushmore. So I put Rushmore at eight. Just not one that I personally related to as much as some of the other ones. Not one that I'm like dying to
Right.
rewatch necessarily. It's kind of one of those. So it's 4 stars though. I mean, it's really, really, really good filmmaking. So all
Mhm.
his are so difficult to rank. It really just comes down to how they affected me personally and what I thought of them and
Yeah, same here. Same here.
rewatchability. Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, I
yeah,
think it's like all of his movies are actually like pretty similar in quality for the most part. It's
yeah.
just like which ones resonate with you more as far
Right.
as like the how the ranking
Exactly.
goes. They're all like pretty up there, as
Yeah,
far
for
as
sure.
like
All right,
technical ability.
give me your seven now.
My seven would probably be the Royal Tenenbaums.
Okay.
Um, just because it's something I kind of want to rewatch it though. It's been a while since I've
Yeah.
seen it, but I don't know. I don't have a particular reason. It's
Yeah.
just there are other. It's more so that as other movies resonated with me more than the Royal Tenenbaums, as
Right.
fantastic of a movie as it is. I really do like the kind of heavier themes that it deals with though.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. Right. Great. My number seven is the Darjeeling Limited. So that's also one that I
Okay.
have a little bit lower. They'll really like it. It's really hard between that and my number six is they're like neck and neck. Really, really close
Hmm.
to one another. But yeah, that's what I have at seven. What do you have at 6?
My number six is Life Aquatic. Just a great story. I think yeah, there's been a lot of times in my life where I kind of feel like I'm at a dead end, and or just like it's just I don't know, just very just I can just his character resonates with me a lot.
Yeah.
Just even though he is kind of a bad person, it's just like it's like I just I really like it. I love the tech, just the technical effects and just the like
Mm,
aquatic atmosphere. Like you said, I really absolutely adore it.
yeah.
So yeah, my number
Great.
six.
Great. My number 6 is Bottle Rocket. So I had that one really close for Darjeeling Limited for me. I
Mhm.
just was really pleasantly surprised with how good Bottle Rocket was for a first movie for a director. It's just really a stellar achievement. So, and again, Owen Wilson and Luke Wilson, seeing those two guys on screen together for like a whole movie, that's something I've wanted. I haven't never seen before, and I've wanted it for a while. And they do such a great job. So, yeah, that ended up at number 6 for me. Now we're into your top 5. So what do you got at number 5?
Number five for me is probably the Grand Budapest Hotel.
Okay.
Which is it's not higher because I know it is traditionally, just because of it's for me more so it's just like wow, that's incredible. But like it's like the as far as like emotionally, like
Hmm.
and like as far as like how the story resonates with me, it's like
Right.
it's just something that like I really it's a lovely movie, but it's just something
Yeah.
where it's just like I'm kind of like whoa, that's crazy. And then it's like, and then it's over, and I'm like, oh, okay, but
Right.
maybe I probably should, maybe I should, re-examine it because I know there
Yeah.
is a strong story there,
Yeah.
and so I think it's just every single time I watch it, I'm just overwhelmed by just
Right.
the effects and the style, I guess.
Yeah.
So
I hear you. I hear you. All right. My number 5 is Isle of Dogs. I really enjoy this one. Lot of fun. Again, I'm just a big animation fan, and the stop motion in this is really incredible. Just to see what
mhm.
they're able to achieve is just really cool, and the story's really solid too. So had to have that one in the top 5, so it ended up at number 5. What do you have at number 4?
My number four is Fantastic Mr. Fox. I really cannot believe that there are three other movies that are better than this one and
Right.
his for me and his filmography.
Yeah,
But like it's I don't have anything bad to say about it, man. It's just
yeah,
a great movie. But
it is. It
yeah,
is so good.
it's incredible.
Yep.
So
Awesome. All right, my number 4 is The Life Aquatic. So I'm a really big fan of this one too.
yeah.
Really like all the characters, all the character, the relationship dynamics in it are just so interesting and so fun to watch how it all unfolds. Again, it's kind of like the mockumentary thing going on too, which I have a lot of fun with, like a film within a film, and how they're
Mhm.
dealing with all that is just really, really fun. And like we mentioned, all the visuals and the effects are really cool too. So yeah, that ended up at number 4. What's your number 3?
My number three is Rushmore. Yeah, I think I this is a movie that I found at a young age. I think I watched it first when I was 15, and so it really just like hit home for me. And it doesn't
Yeah,
as much anymore, I don't think,
yeah,
as much, but it's still like I'd say it's pretty much interchangeable with my number four, with Fantastic Mr. Fox. But yeah, just a brilliant story, just a great story,
gotcha. Yeah,
classic.
some of these, if they hit you at the right time, it's just like, yeah,
Yeah.
they they
Hmm.
they really hit hard. My number 3 is Moonrise Kingdom. Big fan of Moonrise Kingdom. This one gets 4.5 stars. So from here on up, it's like we're basically into like
The
perfect
greats.
film territory for me because it's like just incredible storytelling, all super, visual and emotional and funny, and it has just the blend of everything Wes does well is all there. So that ended up at number 3. What do you have at 3 or 2?
Number
You're
three, I have
2
the
now.
French Dispatch. Two. Yeah, right. I have
Yes.
the French Dispatch. So
Nice. Okay, great.
yeah, I thought, yeah, I just watched it and I was like, man, that's like nearly perfect. And I think that's really, yeah, just yeah, I love the stories. Pretty much everything I said. I
Right.
just it has its criticisms, it has its
Mhm.
problems, I think, but overall, it's fantastic. I think it's awesome.
Excellent. Great stuff. All right, my number 2. Man, these top two are so hard to pick because they're both five-star movies, some of my favorite movies ever
Yeah, it was
made.
hard.
So I put Fantastic Mr. Fox at number two. Really, really have a great time with this one. Again, this is the one of his I've watched the most. It's just so good, especially now that I'm a dad. It really, really resonates even more with me now. So
Mm, I
had
can
to
see
put
that.
that one at number two. Now we're on to your number one. What's your favorite Wes Anderson movie?
Favorite Wes Anderson movie is probably Moonrise Kingdom. I would say that's my number one.
Nice.
It's just so beautiful, and
Yeah.
it's just my favorite story because that's really, I think, a lot of people get caught up in his style.
Right.
And it's probably the most common like thing, which is totally valid. But for me, it's his storytelling that really
Yeah.
stands out. Which his style is a part, totally a part of the storytelling. But
Sure.
just the and I guess you could say that's the whole movie. So I don't know, maybe I don't know, but it's just I don't know what I'm talking about half the time. But I just really love this movie, and
Yeah.
I absolutely I love the soundtrack choices. I love
Mm.
Sam and Susie's relationship, and
Hmm.
just that young love and that naivety and the
Yeah.
truth in that naivety and
Yeah.
the shattering of it as well. And
Right.
on all fronts, it's perfect. It's great. I love it.
Awesome. Awesome. Totally agree. It's a great one. All right, on to my number one. My favorite Wes Anderson movie is The Grand Budapest Hotel. This
Of
movie is
course.
just fantastic on every level. It's crazy. It's crazy. Like you were saying, like it is kind of overwhelming. Like when you're watching it, you're going,
Hmm.
whoa, like it's crazy what he's doing with the camera and what's in the frame and what even stuff that's in the background and just it's really really amazing that he was able to
Attention to
achieve.
detail.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, his attention to detail is incredible. And yeah, I think the more you watch it, the more you will get out of the story. Because like you said, it is kind of overwhelming at first. Like first time I watched it, I was like,
Yeah.
whoa, like what is this? And
Yeah.
then
Hmm.
on every rewatch, I get more out of it. I feel like, oh, I glom onto certain characters more. I get character motivations more and what they're going through and the relationships and everything just hit harder. So yeah, it's definitely one that deserves multiple rewatches because there's a lot going on here, like we said, a lot of characters, and all of it works flawlessly. It's a five-star film, one of the best I've ever seen. So that ended up at number one.
Awesome.
All right. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this exploration of Wes Anderson, this incredible director who hopefully keeps making movies for a long time to come. He's obviously got a lot to say as a storyteller. A lot of people enjoy his movies. He's got a huge fan base, even though his movies don't like have extravagant budgets and they don't usually make like, millions or billions of dollars or anything. But he definitely has a fan base. He has a lot of people that really resonate with these movies. So, and for good reason,
Yeah.
because he's an expert
Yeah, I
storyteller.
think I think he's just all in all, he's an artist.
Yeah.
I feel like I feel like, anyone who watches his movies is like you kind of get to know him as a person.
Yes.
That's just so prolific and just so is it feels like his body of work is like a person in and of
Yes.
itself. And it just not just a brilliant filmmaker, but just a brilliant artist, I think.
Yep. 100% agree. 100% agree. We need more like him that have very specific voices. I feel like a lot of movies
Yeah.
feel so cookie cutter, and I feel like, the ones that stand out are the ones that really have unique style, but also are great storytellers. You need to have both, I feel like, to be considered one of the greats. So, yeah, totally agree. Very glad we got to discuss him on the podcast. It's been a long time coming. We've been talking about doing this for a while. And so I'm glad he
Yeah.
had Asteroid City come out and we were able to do this. Thank you all so much for listening with us. Hopefully, you enjoyed this as much as we did. Make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, hit the bell so you get notified of all our videos. We're talking all about Indiana Jones next week. The next Indiana Jones movie is coming to theaters soon. So I'm really excited to talk about that, my favorite film series of all time. So that should be a lot of fun. We're going to have all kinds of different videos on the channel all week. Thank you so much. We're over 250 subscribers now, which was a huge milestone for us. Really excited, making our way to 300, then 500, then 1,000. It's just been a lot of fun. So again, thank you all. Thank you, Luke, for being here with me.
Thanks so
And
much for
we
having
will,
me.
yeah, absolutely. We will see you all next time right here on The Real World.